Hey everyone! Welcome back to Story Hive. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's jump into today's story. I foolishly opened my marriage in secret, and now I want my precious husband and life back. I'm a 25-year-old woman and my boyfriend is 26. We started dating when I was 18 and he was 19. We were together for 3.5 years before deciding to move in together when he finished college. Since then, we've been living together, and our relationship has been fantastic. We are not only a couple but also best friends, and we share a deep romantic connection. I'm crazy about him and hope to marry him one day, as well as become the mother of his children. Although I had hoped we'd be married by now, I respect his decision to establish himself before making such a significant commitment. Now here's the issue. Recently, a new colleague joined our company, and I was responsible for bringing him on board and providing basic training. His name is Jay, and he's a former professional athlete in great shape. The twist is that Jay is married, and he and his wife have an open marriage. They have a child together, conceived while she was still married to another man, and she continues to have a physical relationship with her ex and others. During one of our conversations, Jay shared all of this with me. Initially, I found it to be quite an unusual and unconventional situation, especially the dynamic his wife has with her ex-husband. When the topic came up, Jay asked me for my thoughts on open relationships. I made it clear that I was completely against the idea and that I would never want to share my husband or be with another man. Our discussion on this matter ended with Jay suggesting, "Let me know if you ever want to try it sometime. I think you would change your mind." I was surprised by his comment, but brushed it off with a laugh and changed the subject. As the weeks have gone by, Jay and I have grown closer in our work relationship. I must admit that I've developed a strong physical attraction to him. In the past week, we've started flirting with each other, and I'm becoming concerned because I can see where this is heading. I haven't discussed any of this with my boyfriend because I know he would end our relationship immediately. It's not that he's possessive, but he firmly believes in the concept of one woman and one man in a relationship. Even just flirting with Jay would be a major breach of his trust. I've decided to take a risk and talk to my boyfriend about open relationships to see if he's interested. For those who have experience with this, I have a few questions. How did you initiate the conversation? What did you say? What happened to your relationship with your partner? Did it improve or worsen after opening it up? I talked to my boyfriend about it, but he immediately rejected the idea. I didn't directly ask for an open relationship. Instead, I mentioned Jay. I told my boyfriend that Jay was a new colleague and that my coworkers mentioned Jay and his wife were in an open marriage and she still had a physical relationship with her ex-husband. My boyfriend's immediate response was, "That's just disgusting." He went on to say that Jay must be foolish because no man would accept his partner being intimate with another man. He also had some less pleasant words for Jay's wife. In response, I just laughed, agreed with him, and changed the subject. It seems like my desire to be physically intimate with Jay won't be fulfilled, at least not in the near future. In the meantime, I plan to increase our activities at home to satisfy this burning longing within me. Update: I'm here with an update, but it's about a different yet related issue. I've made a terrible mistake, one that has cost me my relationship with my boyfriend and any hopes of marrying him and having children together. If you remember from my last update, I mentioned that my boyfriend had rejected the idea of an open relationship. Well, a week later, my boyfriend went to Chicago for a trade show, and I was home alone from Tuesday through Thursday that week. On Tuesday morning, Jay and I were flirting heavily in the office and during our lunch break. I deeply regret this now, and I can't believe how foolish and selfish I was. We repeated the same on Thursday. While the physical aspect was satisfying, it didn't compare to what I have with my boyfriend. Jay has an attractive physique, but he couldn't match the emotional connection I have with my boyfriend, so our encounters felt empty. After our meeting on Thursday, I had planned to make it our last, but I didn't want to hurt Jay's feelings, so I didn't say anything that day. On a different note, I was shocked by the way Jay and his wife live. Their apartment is packed with exercise equipment and is in disarray, with clothes scattered everywhere and things out of place. My boyfriend and I are quite tidy, so this really bothered me and somewhat detracted from the experience. Sorry for going off topic, but I needed to get that off my chest. It really bothered me. Moving on to Thursday, my relationship with my boyfriend and my hopes for a happy life took an abrupt turn when I arrived home. My boyfriend was already there, and I could sense something was wrong. He was standing by the door, wearing his coat and holding his car keys. I was excited to see him and tried to kiss and hug him, but he kept me at arm's length with his hand. Then he said something that shattered me. He told me he had been contacted on social media by Jay's wife, who asked if he would like to meet up and possibly go on a date, since Jay and I were now involved physically. They had a call, and she spilled all the details about my relationship with Jay. Apparently she and Jay enjoy being with other couples, which is their biggest turn on. Hearing this news left me breathless, and I felt like I might faint, so I had to sit down. I immediately began explaining and apologizing, but he simply said, "Be quiet." Then he handed me a document in eviction notice that he created himself using an online template and intended to file legally. He informed me that I had 30 days to move out before he initiated legal proceedings. In the meantime, I couldn't hold back the tears and made another attempt to reach out to him, but he kept his distance. After that, he rushed out the door down the parking lot and drove away quickly. I tried to catch up with him, but he was too fast. For the next 3 hours I attempted to contact him, but he didn't respond. I then called his mom to inquire if he was with her. She confirmed that he was, but said he couldn't speak. When I asked if I could come over, she firmly declined, stating that I was no longer welcome there. Hearing her words tore me apart. I tried to explain that I had made a terrible mistake and would never hurt him again, but she responded with simple acknowledgments like "okay, and yeah," and asked if I had anything else to say. When I declined her invitation, among other things, I repeatedly apologized, professed my love for him, and emphasized that he was the only one I loved. I also sent him a text where I stated that the physical relationship with Jay meant nothing, that it was just a foolish experiment, and that he was far superior. It might not have been the best thing to say, but it was true. I thought maybe boosting his ego would make him break down and reach out to me, but it didn't. The following day, I drove to his office. Although I didn't enter the building, I sent him a text letting him know that I was waiting outside in the parking lot and intended to stay there all day because I wanted to talk to him. He didn't respond, but around 11:00 a.m., I spotted him walking toward my car. Seeing his handsome face approaching brought tears to my eyes, as I love this man deeply. I hoped he would come to my side, pull me out of the car, and start hugging and kissing me, but instead he walked around to the passenger side and got in. We spent the next hour talking, and he allowed me to express myself without interruption. Once I had poured out all my thoughts and feelings, he calmly stated that cheating was a deal breaker for him, and our relationship was effectively over. He expressed a desire to maintain a civil tone, but made it clear that he wanted no further involvement with me. Despite my continuous pleas for a second chance, he remained resolute. As our conversation neared its end, I inquired, "Where will I go when I move out?" I knew I couldn't afford an apartment on my own in the metropolitan area. In response, he told me that I would have to figure that out, but he assured me he would provide a check equivalent to his share of our expenses for 1 month to help me get started in a new place. Despite my attempts to beg and plead, he repeatedly responded with a firm no. When I had run out of things to say, I asked if I could kiss and hug him. He agreed to a hug but declined the kiss. We embraced for a good 10 minutes before he gently pulled away. Afterward, he returned to his office, leaving me in tears and berating myself for the next hour. Update tone. After what seemed like an eternity of anguished waiting, I finally find myself at a place of utter despair and regret. My boyfriend, whom I deeply love and cherish, has become a mere ghost of my past. The sequence of events that led to this ruinous end began with a seemingly innocent conversation about open relationships and escalated into an affair that shattered the very core of our bond. To provide some context, Jay, a new colleague, and I had become quite close at work. His presence was initially intriguing due to his unconventional lifestyle and open marriage. Though I was initially appalled by the idea, my professional interactions with Jay soon took a more personal turn. What started as innocent flirting quickly escalated into something more, and despite my initial resolve, I found myself in his apartment, giving in to temptation. These encounters, though physically gratifying, felt hollow compared to the emotional depth I shared with my boyfriend. My guilt weighed heavily on me, and I was determined to end things with Jay. However, the situation spiraled out of control when Jay's wife revealed our affair to my boyfriend. This revelation, combined with the chaotic living conditions in Jay's apartment, only compounded my remorse. When my boyfriend returned home unexpectedly, I was stunned by his cold demeanor. The eviction notice he handed me was a bitter symbol of our broken relationship. His words, "Be quiet," as he dismissed my apologies, cut deep. His decision to move in with his parents and sever ties with me was a blow I wasn't prepared for. Despite my desperate attempts to reach him and plead for a chance to make amends, he remained resolute. The following day, as I sat outside his office, I clung to a sliver of hope. When he finally approached my car, I felt a surge of both hope and dread. Our conversation was painful, as he calmly explained that infidelity was a deal breaker. His determination to end our relationship was unyielding, and my pleas for reconciliation fell on deaf ears. He offered me a month's worth of his share of our expenses to help with my transition, but it did little to ease the devastation I felt. As I now reflect on the ordeal, my heart aches for the chance to make things right. I desperately seek advice on how to convince him to reconsider, or at least soften the terms of our separation. The thought of rebuilding my life alone in a city where I can barely afford rent is overwhelming. In my darkest moments, I yearn for any glimmer of hope or strategy to navigate this heart-wrenching period. My priority remains to find a path back to the love and life I once had, though I fear that hope may be fading. Update 2. The weeks following our catastrophic fallout have been nothing short of a descent into a chaotic whirlwind. My life, once filled with the steady rhythm of shared plans and mutual love, now feels like a jumbled mess of uncertainty and sorrow. Jay, the catalyst of this turmoil, has become a distant memory, his presence receding as I grapple with the reality of my broken relationship. My boyfriend's reaction to discovering the affair was swift and unforgiving. He moved out with chilling efficiency, leaving me to confront the cold truth of my actions alone. The apartment, once a sanctuary of shared dreams, now feels like a hollow shell echoing with the remnants of our happier times. The eviction notice he handed me was not just a practical step. Struggling to make sense of the mess, I found myself staring at a grim reality. My attempts to reach out to him have been met with indifference or outright dismissal. Each message sent and each call made only served to deepen my sense of helplessness. My pleas for a second chance, or even a discussion about how to handle the aftermath, have been met. The day he finally agreed to see me was one of those moments where hope and despair waged a fierce battle within me. When we spoke, his resolve was unshakable. He explained, with a calm that made my heart ache even more, that there was no room for reconciliation. The gravity of his decision was evident in his composed manner, and my attempts to sway him were futile. The gesture of offering me a month's worth of his share of our expenses was more a formality than an act of goodwill. As I sit in the dim light of my new, much smaller apartment, the weight of my actions presses down on me. The reality of finding a new path in this city facing financial strain and loneliness feels overwhelming. I can't help but wish for a different outcome. My world now revolves around trying to find a semblance of stability while dealing with the constant ache of regret. Thanks for tuning in to today's Reddit story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more amazing stories. See you next time.